Hello, citizens of the world. Let's talk about money. In layman's term, money is the value of trust. From the basic barter system of the past to our current paper form, the concept of trading a representative commodity for needs had followed us through time. Money itself is nothing more than a representation of how much trust we give to each other, but as time and time again proven to be easily tainted with corruption. In our age and time right now, money had become so misguided to a point where global war is bound to happen again unless we find ways to address them. No doubt, such a disaster had happened in the past before. If we look at our own history, time and time again, had proven that we fought each other to gain upper hand in survival, be it cheating, lying, or by brute force. But we have to remember, money in itself is a form of trust. It does not do anything more. The problem with money is not the commodity itself, but the greed of human beings that enhance or magnify and corrupt money in its own essence. We manipulated money at every level, distort its use, hog on as much as we can, all for the illusional purpose of having more to save for the future. Be it for self, for family members, or even for their own small community. Money had been manipulated in order to progress. The problem is, when money is being manipulated to grow more than its means, debt will always follow behind. And when we use those money at present, we will have to pay it back in the future. It's either through our next generation paying more and more, higher and higher costs, or a war that would happen and reset the value of money. We can't move on to a new cycle as long as we do not understand how to deflate the situation. And banks is partially responsible for all the debts around the world. That being said, each and every one of us had the responsibility to change the world simply by treating everyone as equals. Certain countries around the world had used war in the past to set advantage for their own nation, which in turn cripples their future. Think about this. The moment when your country had much easier time earning more than other nations, what would happen? Smart people from poorer places would come over to work for easier money and life. That does not limit to only rich or moderate people, but poor people as well. And when a nation is bloated up improperly, everyone would want that opportunity to earn. But not many will get the opportunity to do so. As such, those who is waiting for their turn to get rich will tend to find an easy way out. Anything for a quick buck. And before you know it, the nation had been corrupted beyond its means. There's only a few possible paths in our current time. The first one would be an inevitable war, most likely a World War III. But it will not be a permanent solution, as few hundred years later, the same pattern will repeat itself again. The second possible solution is to strip necessity from money. We are motivated to be corrupted by fear of losing the ability to survive, which is not having the basics of food and shelter. Some would have thought that without fear to motivate a person, they would not work for food and shelter. That may be valid in the past, but with current global population, the possible of people rioting due to not having food or shelter is increasingly frequent due to pandemic for starters, and much worse situation when the next disaster hits. There are a few rich people around the world who realize such problems and is working to build towards a permanent solution. But sadly, there are more rich people around the world who is doing the opposite. What we don't realize is with Earth's limited resources, we might one day run out of it before we could explore to another planet. This problem will sooner or later demand an answer from us as the world moving towards globalization. I predict in the near future, the gap between the rich and the poor will be so far apart that we no longer feel safe. There is already proof that we are living separated between the rich and the poor. And soon, we will end up like the 2013 movie Elysium, where the rich will live on space while the poor will live on Earth. That is, after a few more wars happen. Looking back at current times, we have been starting to explore beyond Earth. And in my view, this is what would happen to us in the future. That being said, I propose another solution for the world. Imagine this. What would happen if we trade through trust rather than commodity? Each population are assigned with specific or certain tasks, and you have the option to learn more from other jobs or other specific tasks and use those skills to service others for free. Well, not actually free, but it's in exchange for the trust of another person who would serve you with the same gratitude. Just think of the population as ants. Everyone is focused to pick up a task, from the ones that had better ability to learn to the essential farmers. Everyone work and rely on each other. Without the fear of food and shelter, humans in general will be much more focused on their tasks, creating long-lasting gadgets that is reliable for many years, rather than changing it yearly. We already partially possess the technology to reproduce good quality food, revive desert into a tropical land, and soon biotechnology to prolong our lives. There is no real reason why we need poor people besides exploiting them. In our lifetime, many rich people had been spending in sorrow. As population grew, the world became more chaotic. We look up to the sky above and seek help, but the reality is, the guy from above had given us the ability to think. Some of us may have the same idea, but were too afraid to speak out. Now that I've put it out in the open, you are free to think of its feasibility and create your own perfect world. See you guys on the next episode. Remember, stay creative and imaginative. Bye.